So I actually want to invite you to have a tool that I created, right, when it comes to time management. And this tool is my workbook called Time on Your Terms. And it's just that simple. It is helping you learn to create more time and use your time on your own terms. It's a very simple, powerful workbook that's not just going to give productivity tips and tricks. Really, the purpose of this workbook is to help change your mind so the transformation, the change that you're looking for is long lasting. I really focus more in this workbook on using your personal values to help manage your time versus you, again, just making a to-do list, having productivity hacks. Because like I've said before, there are so many videos on YouTube. There's so much information about productivity. If that was all that was necessary, you would have been able to manage your time better at this point, right? You've probably watched all the It Girl videos, that girl, this girl, all them things. You've probably watched all of that, but it's just not working. So now it's more of a transformational shift in the mind, getting in the mindset of how can I actually manage my time that's a best fit for me, that is sustainable for me. So I invite you to go on the website, luxurystateofmind.com. You will find the Time on Your Terms on the website. Again, Time on Your Terms, once you purchase, it will be sent automatically to your email, or you can actually click the link in the description of this podcast and I'll have the product there so you can easily purchase it. It's just a simple, powerful tool that's really going to help you get on the way to managing your time better. Welcome to the Luxury State of Mind podcast, where we focus on intentionally crafting a life that feels tailor-made for you. On each episode, you'll learn how to create luxury in your everyday life and celebrate the uniqueness that is you. I'm your host, Dammy Oshodi, and I'm excited to help you develop a luxury state of mind. Welcome back to the Luxury State of Mind podcast. On this episode, I'm going to be sharing the talk that I gave at Jo Malone. So if you did not know, the Luxury State of Mind podcast had a collaboration with Jo Malone for a Valentine's Day event in February. And a lot of people have been asking me, especially from the event, if that talk would be available. So I decided to post it on my podcast, and you can find the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So I'm going to show you the actual talk that I did. And basically the talk centered around how to incorporate luxury into your everyday life, and the whole event centered around that. So you get to enjoy the experience as if you were there when you listen to this live podcast. So super excited to share with you. And I would love for you to comment when you've listened to it. Comment on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts about it, as well as leave a review for the podcast. Let me know how this resonates with you, because for those who attended, they really enjoyed the conversation. So I would love to also hear from you. So thank you, and let's get into the episode.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, so many beautiful faces. I first want to say thank you to Jo Malone London and also Mia and May for planning this event and helping me bring this vision together. I mean, every single detail that we see here had you in mind. They really wanted to make sure you felt loved, you felt pampered, you felt like your best. So I want to say thank you to you for planning this. And then also to each and every one of you who showed up tonight. I mean, there's so many faces that I'm seeing, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Those that know me, who have been supporting me, or even those who have known the podcast, thank you for coming. And then for some of you, you didn't know what Luxury State of Mind podcast is, but you saw the flyer, you saw luxury on it. So you said, I'm going to show up. I like a good time, so I'm going to be here. So thank you for coming tonight. So with my podcast, and I just want to introduce myself a little bit to you for those who don't know me. My name is Dammy Oshodi. I am a speaker. I'm a podcast host. I'm a marketer by day. part-time ballerina by night. Some of my ballerina girls are actually in the room here tonight. So thank you for coming. And I think that just represents a little bit about me. I'm very multifaceted. I love to enjoy life and to do new things and experience all that life has to offer. And that's part of my mission with my podcast. It's called Luxury State of Mind. And ultimately, it's about teaching people how to incorporate luxury into their everyday life every single day. So I say on each podcast episode that it doesn't matter your background, how much money you have in your bank account, where you're coming from, you can live in luxury today because it starts first with the mind. And when I say luxury, right, there's so many things that may come to your mind. You may think a luxury car, or maybe a luxury handbag, or maybe even a luxury exotic trip to Ibiza, or somewhere else like Mallorca, or somewhere, that many people may not be able to pronounce, but you're like, that's where I want to be. That's what I consider luxury. So all those things can be luxury, but the real question is, what do you define as luxury? How do you define luxury for yourself? And for me, I want to flip the version of luxury that we think about. I believe that luxury is authenticity. I believe that you can live authentically, and that is your best form of luxury. Because what does it matter if you have so many things, but you are empty on the inside? Or maybe you are trying to aspire to gain so many things, and in your pursuit of chasing them, you still feel empty inside. So my thing is, how can you live in your best form that represents yourself, that is able to serve other people because they see your light, they see the way you show up for yourself, maybe even for your family, those around you, maybe you're building a business, your career, whatever it is, how can you live in the best way that is for you? So I'm obsessed with this authenticity, originality, and all these type of things, right? But I've not always lived this way, if I'm honest. I lived in inauthenticity for many, many years of my life. And I am determined through the content that I create, through this type of event, and all the things that I get to do, to empower you to live authentically. Because for me, living in inauthenticity cost me over 20 years of my life. And I don't want that to be the case for you. So I really want you to listen to my story. I'm going to share my mess with you, not so you can just be like, "Oh, girl, what's wrong with you?" But that you can look at your own life and wonder, okay, what can I do better to show up in the world as me? So I'm going to give you my origin story, my background. It started at the age of 5 or 6. There was this idea that came to me. I don't know where it came from, but I decided that I wanted to be a doctor. And I was confident that I can be this doctor. And I started to pursue the characteristics of what I thought it meant to be this physician. So I wanted to be somebody who was smart, because you need a smart doctor. I wanted to be somebody that had good grades. I wanted to be responsible. So I continuously pursued to always be those things from a very young age. And I found myself going through school, trying very, very hard to catch up, to meet the expectations, but continuously falling short. I found myself trying to be good at math, trying to be good at science, but for some reason, I just wasn't cutting it. I would read my books multiple times to try and make sure I'm keeping up with what the teacher is saying and to keep up with the pace of the class, but I continuously found myself at the bottom of the class. In fact, they would call the kids to the gifted class, they'd pick them up and be like, "Okay, let's all go to the gifted class," they'd pick them up and I would be looking longingly like, "Oh, I wish that was me." And it was never me. They never called my name to go with them, but I desperately wanted to be with them. I remember sitting there and everybody is like 10 steps ahead of me, but I was still on step 1. I'm like, how did y'all get there? I'm still all the way back here. Some kids would even be like, "You don't know that? The teacher said that already." And I would be so confused, like, how did I not know that? So what started happening was I started to get a deep sense of frustration, not with necessarily the lessons or the teaching, but a deep frustration with me. I started to be angry with myself that why can I not think the way they think? Why can I not do the things that they can do? Why can't I have the same perspective that they have? And I started to feel a deep sense of shame about how I was made. So I carried that frustration, that anger for many years against myself and thought that I was a problem. And to top it all off, now I had to go to tutoring. I had to do that for many years, so I definitely felt dumb. I'm like, oh my gosh, these other kids aren't doing this stuff. How come I have to do this? Mm-hmm. So I kept going down that path of feeling irritation, frustration, and all those things. And then when I turned 14 years old, I don't know, it's like my soul just cried out. Something happened. I had this deep desire for me to be unique. And I would say this phrase, I'm just being me. I'm just being me. And some of you can actually see it here. You've seen it already. I have this artwork that I made when I was in 8th grade. And this was the start of my unique journey, this desire to be authentic. So from this personal manifesto that I had in mind, I actually started what would be my first company, Unique 28. So Unique 28 because, unique, authenticity, I want to be me. 28 because my birthday is January 28th, so just combining the two, Unique 28. And in doing this business, I felt so alive. I think back to that time, and I felt the most alive that I had ever felt. I mean, I was walking in what I would call purpose. I was sketching designs. It was a fashion clothing brand. So I was, sketching designs for my t-shirts, and I don't even know how to draw. But I found myself drawing, sketching, shading different things on the paper, erasing, adding color, doing all of these things. And something that I realized is when you are walking in what is meant for you, when you're living authentically, there are gifts that you'll discover about yourself that you didn't even know you had. There are resources and things that you didn't even know were possible to access. So I was very diligent about building this business. And even I was so diligent that I would be meeting with a web designer in the evening times. Me and my mom would go to this local restaurant, meet up with the web designer at like 7 o'clock at night, drive home an hour away. Then I would wake up at 4 a.m. to go ice skating because I was a figure skater. And I would do this over and over and over again. So then eventually the company launched. I was so proud. All my ideas had finally come to pass. I did a product photo shoot with some friends. I put the materials online. And then I also sold bracelets as well. So that was a big thing. So this was like the early 2010s. And silicone bracelets were like the thing to do. So I would put all these inspirational messages. I was obsessed with calling myself a beast. I don't know. But I would put things like, I'm a beast. Like all my stuff. Very encouraged by being a beast. And then I would have different bracelets I would light up or glow in the dark. I mean, I was really doing something, okay? Then I got to school and I started selling these bracelets for $7 in cash. Yeah, I had Zelle, all those things, yeah. So I was collecting cash. And I remember people would literally run to me to get these bracelets. They would flock to me. Please, give me your bracelets. Even so that a friend of mine in another school wanted the bracelets. So my cousin had to be like, oh, my friend wants your bracelets. Can you bring it? She would bring her cash to me, and then I would give her the bracelets, and we would do it like that. And that first week, I made almost $300 in cash off of selling bracelets. And you would think that that is enough proof that this idea is good. It's going to work. But then my mind started running. All the thoughts that I had in my past and really what I still had in me started coming to fruition again. That, is this enough? Is this enough to prove yourself? is this going to validate you to the extent that you feel it will validate you? So eventually, because I felt like it just wasn't a good enough reason to keep moving forward, because I had basically tied myself to this vision that I felt was for me, but I was really chasing it out of inferiority, out of insecurity to prove myself. Eventually, I emotionally detached from this company, and then eventually I let it go entirely. And I remember a family member coming to me, pleading with me that, Dammy, please, don't you see that this can be valuable? Don't you see this thing can lead somewhere? But I was like, no, you don't understand. I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to help people. And I said it to the best of my ability to be so eloquent and persuade this person that I am doing this thing. And I remember this person walked away with their head low in frustration. And I thought it's because, well, I told them, I persuaded them and they just felt defeated. But really the issue was they saw my potential, but they were frustrated that I couldn't see it myself. They were frustrated that I was pursuing something that didn't belong to me out of hopes that eventually will prove that I'm worth something. So eventually, Unit 28 goes. But then I didn't lay down for long. So I started something else, a blog. And I always say this thing to people, that your life will always tell on you. And what I mean by this is that when you think, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, there are certain patterns that you've shown that show what is uniquely you. No matter how far you go or where you think you're coming from, there are things that you've done that show yourself. And I couldn't get too far from the communications and, creative space. I couldn't get too far. So I started this fashion blog, unique28.blogspot.com. Started this fashion blog, and it lit me up. I started blogging about fashion. I started doing photo shoots. I would go to Forever 21 and get clothes and style them and take photos in them. I would just do different product photo shoots. I was connecting with other bloggers. They were connecting with me back. I would be doing interviews with them. They would do interviews with me. People would be commenting on my blog. Back then, it was a lot easier because people didn't expect so much high expectations of you. So the fact that you're showing up online, they're like, hey, great. They loved what I was doing. I had the opportunity to go to New York for a blogging conference and meet all my favorite bloggers of that time. I got to go and meet them and see them. And I'm like, man, these are the people that I admire. I watch their content all the time. And I want to tell you that this is the time. This is like 2010 now, around this time. Blogging had not reached its full peak yet. So it was the opportune time to get into the game. Because if I think about it sometimes, I'm like, man, if I had kept doing this thing, who knows where I would be. But I digress, it's okay. I kept doing the blog, and even I had the opportunity to go to New York Fashion Week with my blog. I went to a designer, I emailed the designer and I said, hey, I want to be pressed at your show. Do you mind if I can come? And she sent me the pass immediately. But I'm going to assume I did not go. And I think it's because I had some kind of exam or something going on. That's what I hope. That's why I didn't go. But nonetheless, the opportunities were there. The opportunities were showing me yet again that, yes, keep going. This is fruitful. Keep going. But then again, I'm about to start graduating. I have this dream that I need to achieve and be, and I need to go to medical school. How can I do both? Back then, I didn't understand and didn't believe in being multifaceted. Even though I am a multifaceted person, I felt shame for being that way. I thought I was the type of person that, oh, it's all good that I have a hobby and then I put it down, and I have another hobby and I put it down again. But not realizing that as you're younger, it's just curiosity. It's just exploring. But as you get older, those things get shut off, right? Because there's responsibilities, there's things to do. So you forget to explore, to create, to have fun. So I started blocking off my curiosity from a very young age because I had a very strange mindset that it was shameful to be multifaceted. So I eventually started, again, detaching myself from my blog. focusing more on being, going to college like I should. I wanted to get an education. But again, I let go of something that had potential. So I look back at my journey and I think to myself that, okay, it's not that you are a failure, because that's actually something I battled with for a long time. I thought that I was a failure, or I thought that I just can't keep to things. What is wrong with me, right? But I realized that that's not the right question. That's a low level question and thinking. There were really two offenses that I did to myself. The first offense that I had, and this is what I want you guys to listen to this particularly. I trained myself to believe that harder is better and that doing something easy means nothing. I believed that the harder I tried, the more worth it showed. That my weaknesses, I have to keep working on my weaknesses over and over, but I continuously did not acknowledge my gifts. And it showed, because even in my younger years, even though I wasn't doing good at math, I was actually excelling in writing. I was excelling in doing presentations. My teachers would submit my writings to competitions. I was doing pitch competitions. I was being asked to do speaking. But because it came too easy to me, I felt like it just doesn't matter. I need to pursue what is harder. Number two, the second offense was that I did not value my desires and what I was good at. I did not value them. I trained myself to constantly do what was hard, what was difficult, what I didn't want to do in hopes I would become something later on in the future. And this actually showed up in my education when I got to college and even higher education as well. I got my first degree in communications, and I excelled in communications. It was so easy for me because it's my gift. I did so well to the point that I finished early. And I think I even slowed down the time that I finished because I didn't want to finish too early. But because my science GPA was not where it needed to be, or where I thought it needed to be, I said, okay, well, I'm going to go get a minor in biology. So I stayed in school 2 extra years. And because of my desire to be excellent, my desire to try, but really my drive to prove myself and my insecurities, I realized by the time I graduated, I had done way more than a minor. I had actually done enough credits to get a whole degree. So I walked out of college with 2 degrees. And then that's not all. When I was in my last year of school, time for MCAT. 5 months I studied for the MCAT. I gave it my everything, my all, everything that I had. Well, the same grade I got when I first started was the same grade I got after the 5 months. All that blood, sweat, and tears, the same score. And now I'm about to graduate. I'm applying to medical schools. They're saying to me, we regret to inform you. We regret to inform you. Sometimes I just read the subject line. Okay, which school is this? We regret to inform you. It's almost like they were playing a game with me. So I kept getting rejection after rejection after rejection. Then I started to say, well, I have to do something because I'm about to graduate. I got to do something. Well, you know what? I'll go get another master's. Maybe that will finally prove that I can make it, that I'm good enough. So what did I get a master's in? It's something that nobody knows how to pronounce. Pharmaceutical nanotechnology. Usually I just say nanomedicine because I'm like, But it's pharmaceutical nanotechnology. And this was my last hope that hopefully I will make it. And I remember getting in that program, going through the coursework, and there was one day that I sat in a seminar, right? I was in the seminar that we're required to go to. And I sat there and I found myself crying. And I was crying because I was just looking back at my life and I said, all the hard work that I've done, everything that I've put myself through, is this it? I'm studying something that I'm not even sure I really care about. I'm in a class that I'm forced to be that I don't enjoy. Is this all the years that I've worked? Is this what it boils down to? Where do I go from here? And I remember at that point, I decided slowly and surely that maybe this path that I've said is mine is not mine. Maybe the voices that have been telling me for years that maybe you should consider something different. Maybe you should try something else. I started to finally listen to them. And then I finally started my journey. Who is Dammy? What does she want outside of this dream, this vision? Who is she? And that started me on my journey to where I am now. Will I tell you it's been an easy journey? No. Sometimes I look back and I wonder that what if I did it? What if I kept pushing forward? What if? But now I can say confidently, even when times where I waver, that you know what? This is who you are. This is okay. You're good at this. Keep going. Don't keep chasing after things or a career that you don't even like. Why don't you do the thing that helps you to be you, that shows you, represents you? And that is how you can define luxury. And this event is to help you determine for yourself, what does luxury mean to you? And really, when we think about it, how can you be more authentic in your everyday? How can you show up in your best way for yourself every day? Because I remember the times in which I would be asking God that, why? Why do I think this way? Why do I behave this way? Why do I want these things? What is wrong with me? And it's the same things that I was asking God that why are the same things that help serve other people. I would have missed out on the opportunity to serve other people chasing a vision that wasn't mine. So I want to just give you 3 tips, 3 things that you can do. 3 quick things that you can do that will help you live in luxury daily. The first thing I'm going to share with you is that you want to create time to think. See a person that creates time to think. You know, this world will have you running crazy. You're going to be chasing this, trying to get there, do that, and miss yourself.
Yeah.
You need to take time to journal, sit in quiet, pray, meditate, but create time to think. Number 2, be intentional. Be intentional about the choices that you are making daily. Where are you spending your time? Who are you hanging around? Where are you going? Who are you going with? What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? All these things, they matter. Don't be just somebody who says, oh, I just go with the flow. You go with the flow, and this is the thing about life. Life may take you where you don't want to go. So you need to be intentional about the choices that you're making. And then number 3, I would say this is the most important thing. Decide to love yourself as you are, to receive yourself as you are. Again, the same things that I was asking God, why did you make me this way? What is wrong with me? Are the same things that people, they receive help from, that it inspires them, it serves them. If I had just disacknowledged myself for so many years, where would I be? Would I be well within my soul? Sometimes we're chasing things, chasing the next bag, the next this, the next trip. And there's a scripture that says that, what does it profit a man to gain the world but to lose his soul? Don't be a person that loses your soul chasing after a vision that does not exist. Because the invisible people that I was trying to prove myself to didn't exist. But the people that were in my real life were telling me that they were so inspired, they're so encouraged, they're so, oh my goodness, Dammy, you're so confident. So live for today. Make luxury a part of your everyday life. And how can you show up authentically? So I hope that you've enjoyed this message, and I really hope, and I know you will, enjoy the rest of this event. If you do want to connect with me and you want to listen to more of this type of information, I have the podcast, The Luxury State of Mind. You can find it on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, so you can listen to it there. And I'll actually have a guide that I'm going to be sharing. This event is more about how can you incorporate luxury into your everyday, right? But we need even more tips. How can you actually do that? So I actually created a guide in which you can get. So there's actually going to be a QR code in a frame. It's going to be in the back. It's going to be in the back there. It's going to be in the back so you can scan that. You can find me. And I also have other friends too, that they can raise their hand wherever they are and they can let you scan that QR code and then you can get that guide. So I'll be sending that to you later. So we can definitely connect there. So again, I just want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. Thank you so much for hearing me out and receiving this message. And I hope that it really blesses you and that you walk out of here today feeling like, man, how can I live authentically? How can I live with purpose, with calling, with vision? That I will live my life in a way that feels free to me and that it serves other people. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the event.
I hope that you enjoyed that talk. The ability to put on that event and to speak and to connect with so many people was absolutely amazing. I'll have to do a debrief of that event and all the other things that have happened actually after that. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found it valuable and you are somebody who organizes events, is involved in some kind of organization that would find this type of content valuable, I would love to connect with you. I actually have a link in the description of this episode that will link you directly to my speaker page. And I would love to hear about the beautiful things that you're creating for your community, for your organization, and for yourself, and how we could collaborate on adding even more value to your event. So if you're in the women empowerment space or something that just involves helping people, I again would love to connect with you. So click that link in the description and let's see how I can come to your event and speak. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will speak to you on the next one. Bye. Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also view the full episode on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you on the next episode.